in the early years when, like, so say if I was in a queue at a shop wanting to go and ask for something, I would start my breathing, and on this one occasion, the sales girl had asked me if I was all right because she thought I was hyperventilating, but I had to explain to her that I was using a breathing technique to be able to control my speech.
Welcome to Some Stutter Law, Newfoundland and Labrador's first podcast about living with communication disorders. It is a production of the Communication Collaborative. My name is Greg O'Grady. I am a person who stutters and your host. Some Stutter Law aims to rebuild confidence and hope for people who live with communication differences by dismantling myths, stigma, stereotypes, and barriers. For more information about the Communication Collaborative or this podcast, you can find us at somestutterlaw.ca. If you only get one thing from this podcast, we hope it's this. It's okay to stutter and it's okay to communicate differently. It's not how we communicate that's important, it's the message that's important. Today, Some Stutter Law welcomes Michael Wright. And Michael, I think this is your first podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, that's correct. It's my first ever one, so I'm outside my comfort zone at the moment.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations for stepping out of your comfort zone. I'm sure that's caused a lot of stress, Michael. Mike, it is great to meet you virtually. Now, a little bit about Michael Wright. Michael is a person who stutters, who resides in the UK and works within the nuclear sector at Sellafield as a planning engineer. In 2020, Michael co-founded an online Facebook group called Stand Up to Stammering, which offers a safe, encouraging, empowering platform that invites members to share their stammering experiences, gain support from other members, and invites them to build on their courage and confidence through the daily mind over matter challenges. Michael is also co-founder of the Nuclear Stammering Network, which aims to make the nuclear industry an inclusive place to work for those who stammer, by signposting, raising awareness on the subject, as well as supporting those within the nuclear industry who stammer. In the future, Stand Up to Stammering aims to provide support via an app technology, giving members the opportunity to openly discuss any problems or speech-related issues, as well as having good Craig and banner. So again, Michael, thank you again for joining us this morning. First of all, Michael, thank you for teaching me how to do a live video on Facebook, first of all. Similar to you this morning, doing a live video and being on Some Stutter Law, it has helped me to step out of my comfort zone. So thank you again, Michael. Michael, can you share with our listeners a little bit about your history as a person who stutters?
Yeah, so I've had a stutter or stammer all my life, from ever since I could talk. So in the early years, from age 3 right up to the ages of 12, I was a really severe overt stammerer, where you could clearly see that I had a speech impediment. I had the rapid eye movements, the head shakes. I used to hit myself to get my words out, so to speak. So then from the ages of about 5 years old up to 12 years old, I had National Health Service speech therapy, which helped me a little bit. It helped me to slow down, pronounce my vowels a lot clearer, and it helped me relax. It took away all that tension and anxiety that I felt around my speech. But even though I was really overt as a child, I was very accepting that I had a stammer. Um, and it wasn't until I became, it wasn't until I was about 16, I subconsciously became a covert stammerer. I don't know if this is the body's way of protecting us, or what, but yeah, at the age of 16, I just found myself swapping words around to words that I could say. And it wasn't until I was 26, I am now 42, so it wasn't until I was 26, that's when I found a course called the Starfish Project, which taught me the use of the costal breath, which is breathing from the diaphragm into the chest. And this has given me complete freedom with my speech. It allows me now to say things that I want to say when I want to say them. And for me now, it's all about helping others, making other people aware that there is courses out there that can help you if you do want to seek that level of control over your speech. Now, I do realise every person is individual, every stammer is individual, so what may work for one person may not work for another person. Some people stammer openly and confidently, and that's okay, where others would like to get a greater control over their speech. So, yeah, so that's just a little bit about my speech journey and to where I am now with it.
Mm. Thank you very much, Michael, for sharing this. Michael, would you like to share a little bit more about the Starfish project? To be honest with you, I'm not familiar with the Starfish project and coastal breathing. Now, so do you want to just share a little bit more about the program?
Yeah, so it's a 3 to 4 day residential course based in the UK down at a place called Eastbourne, which is on the south coast. They run a course every month, and they run 2 young people's courses every year during the school holidays as well. So, what it teaches us is one, to accept our stammer, changing the mindset that we do have with it from a negative one to a positive one. It gives us some tools and techniques for us to be able to go into any speaking situation and have full control over our speech. The main one is the costal breath, where if you heard there, I took a sharp intake of air, and as soon as I've got that sharp intake, I haven't to allow any hesitation to creep in. So as soon as you've got the intake of air, I speak 3 to 4 words per breath, and then I exhale the residue air. And that is the main tool that the Starfish Project give you to be able to control your speech. Prior to me going on to Starfish, I had only come across 1 to 2 other people who stammered, so I felt very isolated with regards to my speech. But by going on this course, it had connected me to other people who stammer, and it isn't just like a course. It's like you are a member of the starfish family. I just cannot describe what happens within that within that room for those 3 days. It's absolutely magical to watch somebody come in on day one and not being able to say their own name or address, and then by the end of the course they are standing up in front of people saying their name and address and holding a conversation with full control over their speech is absolutely magical. Yeah, you just cannot describe how it makes you feel. It's good.
Hmm. Uh, Michael, it is obvious that you're taking a lot of time and energy to concentrate on your breathing. Now, what are some of the challenges that you find that may throw you off course, or like when you, because it's obvious you're working on your breathing. What feedback do you get from listeners? I guess there's two questions here.
Yeah, so what still catches me out is time pressure. So if anybody asks me something off the cuff when I am not expecting it, and I feel myself under time pressure to answer, that's when I will struggle. And the use of conference calls with work. Now, during lockdown, we found ourselves using a lot more conference call technology, and where you've got to give your name after the bleep. For a stammerer, the hardest thing for them to say is their own name, and that really does affect me still. Um, Sometimes I shorten it and go Wright rather than Michael Wright if I feel that I'm under pressure. But yeah, just time pressure I still struggle with. But as for using the breathing technique, have had positive feedback by using that. I'm now able to talk to my family without holding back. I'm able to contribute in work meetings, chair meetings, even, and yeah, it has just been a dramatic change for me using this breathing technique for me to be able to control my speech. I've had nothing but positive feedback from it.
You know, you sound, Mike, as if you found a great sense of freedom through that Starfish program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're using the breathing, does the people ask you what you're doing?
Yeah, so in the early years when I was using it, so I've been using it now for a good 13 years, and it takes a lot of dedication, hard work to consciously use it all the time. Um, so in the early years when I was learning how to use it, it is now more or less habit now. But in the early years when, like, say if I was in a queue at a shop wanting to go and ask for something, I would start my breathing, and on this one occasion, the the sales girl had asked me if I was all right because she thought I was hyperventilating, but I had to explain to her that I was using a breathing technique to be able to control my speech. So yeah, yeah, it's hard work in the early stages because you have to put the work in to get the results out. But over time, it becomes
Definitely, mate.
more of a habit.
A habit, okay. If any of our listeners, Michael, are interested in exploring starfish, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it starfish or starfish?
It's starfish, Starfish. Yeah, so it's the Starfish Project.
Okay. And where would the listeners go for more information about this, Mike?
Yeah, so if you go on to Google and if you type in the starfishproject.co.uk,
Okay.
yeah, it will come up there.
Okay. So I'm wondering now, Mike, and many of our listeners are wondering, what led you to create the online Facebook group called Stand Up to Stammering?
Right, so Stand Up to Stammering was created because two reasons really. I was myself and another Starfish member, Chloe Powell. We were part of a online stammering support group, which I shall not name. But within this support group, the host of this support group found it. He he used to like causing heated debates between members where he would say something and then if you didn't agree with what was said, yeah, it would cause a heated debate. So every stammer's individual, every person's individual. So what may work for one person may not work for another person. So we found it very frustrating being in this support group. So we decided to set up Stand Up to Stammering to be inclusive for any form of therapy, or whether you just want to come on and practice your speech without being judged. There is no right, there is no wrong way of dealing with a stammer. It's down to the individual. It's an individual choice as to whether you want to use coastal breathing, belly breathing, whether you want to stammer openly and confidently. You you may not want to seek that level of control over your speech, and that's okay. So that's mainly why Stand Up to Stammering was created, to be inclusive to all its members rather than just solely focus on one form of therapy. The second reason why it was created was I'm co-chair of the Nuclear Stammering Network at Sellafield as well, and I was frustrated that we were no longer able to meet in person. So we had already created Zoom support groups, but I wanted something which was more frequent to give to our members of the Nuclear Stammering Network. So Stand Up to Stammering was created to support those as well.
Wonderful. Michael, where do you come up with your daily topics, the daily mind over matter challenges? Because I've listened to a number of the folks that actually come on and respond to your challenges. Where do you come up with these topics?
Believe me, it's so hard to come up with a fresh topic every day. Um, it's so hard, but like we come up with topics. Like I think back to my childhood and some of the questions that I asked myself. I I or we put forward to the group, and then they're invited to reply via a pre-recorded or a live video. But some of the questions have been repeated. As you can imagine, it's so hard to come up with fresh topics. But we also ask members as well if they would like any questions answered. So they are more than welcome to put forward any mind over matter challenges as well. So yeah, it is mainly like a brainstorming session where the admin team think, right, this week, what can we ask? And we all chip in with ideas, and then we set who's going to do which question on what day.
Oh. So Mike, you encourage some of the members to take the lead and create their own stand-up daily mind over challenge message as well. So there is more like it gives them more of a involvement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, great. Do you get any? Mind if I ask? Do you get any private messages afterwards about your questions? Like any other? Like, does people voice any concerns or any thoughts about the questions?
I do receive a lot of private messages. Some people want to know more about the coastal breathing technique. Some people may want to reply to me, but via a written post, and that's okay. They may have not have built up the courage or the confidence to do a video yet, but that's what the group's about. It's about building their courage and their confidence around their speech, and the more that they do that within the group, the safe environment of the group, then they can take that newfound courage and confidence with their speech and apply it into real life speaking situations.
Michael, you also mentioned in your bio that you were the co-founder of the Nuclear Stammering Network to help make the nuclear industry an inclusive place for those who stammer by signposting. Well, first of all, Michael, thank you very much for creating such an awareness about stammering, and I applaud you for your courage to do this advocacy work, because I'm sure that takes a lot of courage to be so open and honest about your stammer. What has the reactions been to your efforts from your colleagues at the nuclear industry?
Yeah, so I joined Sellafield prior to myself having any control over my speech, and how the Nuclear Stammering Network came about was I read a letter in our works paper by a guy called Mark Murphy, who was a welder on the nuclear site, and he was telling me, or he had written about his experience on the Starfish project. So that's how I originally got involved with Starfish. And then when I returned back from Starfish, I approached HR and I asked if I could set up a nuclear stammering network, helping other people on site who have a stammer. So I am very open and honest about my speech at work, and my employer is extremely supportive. They allow us 1 week special leave every year to go down on Starfish to top up our techniques, and that is fully that's all expenses paid as well. So we can go down every year. So if any line managers or any employees, no, sorry. So if any line managers have any employees within their team who stammer, their main point of contact is myself, and then I meet up with the employee and discuss what as a network we can provide for them. So we give them the choice of going on Starfish, or we give them the choice of attending regular support groups, as it can be good just to speak to a like-minded person who knows exactly what you are going through. But the response that we've had within the workplace has been absolutely amazing. We have been raising awareness for the past, I'd say, for the past 5 years now, and yeah, it has just been really positive. I've been recognised for my work. I won the Sellafield's Inclusion Award this year for all the work that we are doing around stammering and raising awareness.
Congratulations, Michael. Congratulations. And I am so impressed with your employer for for you know developing a program where people who stutter can go for treatment, all expenses paid. That is so unusual, you know.
Yeah,
It really is. And well, that's great, Michael. That's great. Now, I'm also, I'm also impressed with your future plans about developing an app, Mike. For you had mentioned in your bio that in the future, Stand Up Stammer aims to provide a supportive via an app technology, giving the members opportunity to open discussion any problems of speech-related issues. And so, Mike, would you like to elaborate a little bit on this?
Yeah, so rather than going like onto Facebook where Stand Up to Stammering is, we are thinking about developing an online app which can be available either on an iPhone or any form of smartphone as a one-stop shop for advice, support, encouragement, and just to be there really for anybody with a speech impediment, rather than having to solely go on to Facebook for support. It is mainly just another avenue that we are potentially looking into going down. Yeah.
Well, that's great. So, how would this work, Mike? Would it be people would download the app, and would it be sort of an on-face discussion or like a group discussion?
So it would mainly be like, they would download the app. You would find the Daily Mind Over Matter challenge on there. There would be numerous forums on there. There'd be chat options to make friends. There'd be a lot of signposting information on there for local support groups. It's ambitious, but it would be a signposting a place where you can chat to other people who stammer, and where you can just seek support, really.
Just to circle back, Mike, to your company, company providing all expenses paid for treatment. Now, I'm not familiar with the government supports or subsidies in the UK. Are there many subsidies or financial support for people who want to explore treatment, or is that a problem in the UK?
So, with regards to so within the UK, we've got the National Health Service. So the National Health Service is free for UK citizens, and they do offer NHS speech therapy. That's both as a child or as an adult. The Starfish Project, if you cannot afford the course, they have a separate pot where they can subsidize your course. They do ask you to make a contribution towards it, but the majority can be subsidized if you are if you do have a stammer but you are in financial hardships. But yeah, I am very lucky to work for an employer that can see the benefit of going on this course. And yeah, I'm just very lucky that they support it financially as well. So the Starfish course is £250, which is so cheap compared to similar speech therapy, similar speech therapy courses out there which are private. So yeah.
Thank you very much for being part of this conversation today.
Some Stutterla is hosted by Greg O'Grady. It is produced, recorded, and edited by Paul de Decker, as well as Luca Dinu, who, by the way, wrote this jazzy theme music. Leah Bugden and Alicia Megison command our pages on Instagram and TikTok. Editing assistance was provided by the Labrador Languages Preservation Laboratory, or Labradory, at the Memorial University of Newfoundland. You can listen to or subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. Video versions of each episode are found on our YouTube page. Some Stutterla is a production of the Communication Collaborative. Thanks for listening.